Hello. So we're back here again for another edition of the program Deltascope on television, our weekly magazine program that plays host to economic, social and political stakeholders in the Delta State Development Project. My name is Onome Iyarowe. This week on the program, we're playing host to a pragmatic leader, a youth leader, a grassroots politician, once member of the Delta State Executive Council and a one-time member of the Delta State House of Assembly. His administrative acumen spreads through the various offices where he has served the Delta State government and his people particularly. He is popularly known as the Awemutui of Ijere Kingdom, meaning the one who brings development to his people. Join me to welcome Honorable Barrister John Nani. Nani. Well, our crew met with this great man and he shared so much with us about what he has been doing with all of the offices he has occupied in Delta State, from the executive to the legislature. This interview is a must-watch. Let's join him.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The Ajaminoro.
Yeah, Ajaminoro.
Ajaminoro. Okay, that's to mean.
That means one who deflowered the city. It came up when the flood came, and I was really making sure that I used Swambugi to create canals, yes, around that state.
Okay. Then the Awemutui.
Awemutui is a shine that brought something home.
More like a philanthropist.
That came when I was in the House of Assembly. My constituency projects were all vision, and were over to the sea.
Okay, let's go back to your days. I mean, you are what is known as a supply boy.
Yes.
You're a supply boy.
I'm a supply boy. I was born in Supply, though I'm from Jesse. My father was teaching Okotievo Grammar School, okay, when I was giving back to. I was taken to Jesse to stay with my grandmother for some time. So our business, those who stay in Jesse, those who are from Jesse, Supply is the main town, okay, which is close to Jesse.
Okay, so you're a Supply Boma boy.
Well, that's what we say, Supply Boma boy is the Supply persons must not allow you to cheat. That's why they call them Supply Boma
boys. Okay, great. Okay. So you went to Zik Academy or Zik Grammar School?
I went to Zik Grammar School.
Okay. How was it like growing up?
Well,
you talked about going to stay with your grandmother.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, growing up, you see, as a child, my father left me when I was 3 years old. My grandmother to stay with Jesse in the village. Okay. So which today I'm enjoying because I'm a Jekbako, not really that I brought her. Because when I was taking to Lagos, I was staying in Lagos. I never enjoyed staying in Lagos because I was already used to the village setting. And when I was in school reading Shia, Shibi and others, by the time you describe area and setting, I just see putting myself into it because I must have seen those settings, okay, in the village before. Okay. So I am both of the stock of the village boy and the Lagos boy.
And Lagos boy. Okay. All right. So what was it like actually growing up in Jesse? Jesse then and Jesse now?
Well, Jesse then was a village, but now with the renewal, urban renewal, and the Jesse is not different from Supply again, because any man staying in Supply would say either you're in Jesse, you're in Supply, it's the same thing. Even other citizens of other tribes, when they come to work either in Supply, instead of buying land in Supply, they go to Jesse to buy land because it's a peaceful place. Okay.
So, and when you left there, you left Zik Grammar School, you went to Unibed.
Yes, when I finished from Zik Grammar School, you know, one has to further his education. So I went to Unibed to read law.
Law, okay.
First of all, I read estate management in Haushipoli. Okay. But my dad is the one who believed that when you go to polytechnic, you have not started. So I have to go back to Unibed to read law, and that's why I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
Because he himself was a lawyer.
Oh.
I'm a lawyer today, and I have one of my sons, a lawyer also.
Okay, you were the first youth president in General
Yes,
Kingdom.
I was the first youth president. I was in the University of Benin when I was made youth president of GC. Something happened. Vandals came to vandalize the cables, the power cables as electric cables, leading to giving that's powering GC. And I was able to mobilize all the youth to see that we look for those who vandalized the cables. We could not get them. Then we were able to muster the illustrious sons of the state to donate money, and we were able to buy the cables, and within 2 weeks, the light was restored to GC. So the youth leaders then within the GC, they came together to meet in GC town and said, oh, if you, the small boy, can bring everybody together within 2 weeks, we can do something positive. Why not we make you to lead all of us? I know full well that there are persons who were about 7, 8, 9 years older than me as youth chairman of villages then, but they decided that I have to lead them, and that was how I became the president.
How did you fare?
Well, it's just being with the people, what you don't know before. You know, my grandmother was a nurse. I was in the village living more or less at Jebota, but when I became the youth president, I saw the difficulty of integrating with the people.
Olorogu, at what point did you say to yourself, you woke up one morning and said, okay, today, this is where I start politics?
Well, like I said, is more or less to become a politician could be inalienable, it could be influenced. Like I said earlier, it was influenced because of those persons I was working with, politicians whom I was working with. You know, they were inviting me to mobilize the people for them because I started when I was in primary school. I was always made the chairman of my class when it comes to the children harvest in the Anglican church. So a lot of persons follow me. And you know, then when we were growing, a lot of women didn't go to school. My grandmother was a nurse. He went to school during Mother's Day. He will come to preach in the church, read Bible, and people say, oh, that woman that reads Bible. So even if I look for trouble, because I was small, but when I was in primary school, I was always, you know, looking for those other ones trouble, looking for how I was a stubborn boy then, really, because because my grandmother, nobody would want to touch me. What they would tell you is that, don't you know, Omi Mary means it's Mary's son, and that woman that can speak English. And because of that one, everybody started attaching themselves to me. And I had a lot of friends. So if they want to do anything, I can always influence those my friends to you know, follow me, to work in favor of whomever I want. That was how I became, you know, just, you know, became a politician.
So your leadership skill have been honed from when you were primary school, am I correct?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because from primary 1 to 6, I was monitor of the class. We call it monitor there. That was captain of the class for four times. Because I was so young.
What school was this?
Then it was CMS Primary School, which is the Anglican Primary School then. But presently is known as Igere Primary School.
Now you're a politician. Before being a politician, you were a lawyer. Did you ever practice law?
Yes, I practiced law. Skeletally, really. I didn't practice in full. I was practicing law. But anytime I get appointment, I will go back to politics because there's no way you can combine the two unless it's a matter that concerns you or your office, and sit here by virtue of the legal practitioner disciplinary committee will hold you responsible if you go out, because the legal practice is not something you need to combine with government full-time job. Once I have a full-time job, I don't go to court. But I bet you, I have my books up to date. I have my wig and gown is anywhere I have it. So when you invite me, if it's for me to go to court when the issue concerns my person or concerns my office, I'm very prepared to go to court.
Okay. What was your first appointment?
Well, I came into limelight. Yes, basically it was public secretary of PDP Delta State.
Did you start with PDP or you started with some other party?
Well, I started with some other party. That is, I was in MPN as just a ward organizing secretary. Then I was small. When I left, when MPN was defunct, I became just a member of UNCP. Then from UNCP, I became a SDP and NR during the SDP and NRC. I was in the NRC and I was a national delegate among those who chose TOFA to contest with Abiola. Yes, but after the election, when I saw that there was oppression against Abiola declaration as the president, I was annoyed and I left NRC until it became defunct. But when APP there, which is now ANPP, came up, I joined APP because I was wanting to contest the chairmanship of my local government. Though I was supposed to be the first secretary of PDP Ethiopia West, but my uncle, who is Gamaliel Onosode, was contesting presidency in NRC, so in APP. So what do? I will not leave my uncle to contest in another party. So I joined the APP to contest, but the first in my local government then, because Ibori was going for governor, there was no way I would have been able to win, but he pleaded with me when I lost the election that I don't need to go to court, I should just come to PDP. So with my force, as I came into PDP, I was made public secretary straight of PDP Delta State because of those followers I have. They believe that they cannot lose somebody who has such force, such political force. So they made me the public secretary of PDP Delta State. From there, I became a special advisor to Ibori on youth development. The first special advisor to Ibori on youth development in Delta State. I did that till the end of his tenure. Then when Udwa came in, I was now made a board member, Delta Transport Service, which is a Delta line. I stayed there. From there, I contested for the House of Assembly, which I won. And when we were inaugurated, I was made the majority whip of the House, a principal officer.
Hi, welcome to my new Delta. This past 4 years has been so amazing with Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa as governor. Lots of entrepreneurial and wealth opportunities has been created in the state. Infrastructure development in all sectors. Over 200 roads have been completed, highways and urban roads. Primary health care has greatly been improved upon. Now you can get health support with ease. Even the educational sector was not left behind. It has received tremendous boost. The state has now become a sport destination. This past 4 years has been so amazing in Delta State. Who knows what the next 4 years will look like? Come with me. Let's create a stronger Delta with Senator Dr. Arthur Ifeanyi Okowa, my governor.
Sir, let's go back to your days as SA.
Well, when I was special advisor to Ibori, like I said, it's a novel one. Then there was a special advisor to the governor on youth development. I was the first one. And I was able to go around 25 local government and working also with the youth council. We went around to see to the problems of the youths. It's really something that when people are not aware of the true position of governance, there will always be an agitation. Another thing again, I always believe that it's easier to convince the educated person than convincing the uneducated persons. When you go to the interior, you see most of these youths are not aware because they are not educated. So we were able to bring to the fore to the governor that we need to open up the interior. That's why you see Ibori was constructing roads into the interiors like what the present governor is doing now. We were able to also go by boat to reach those persons in the creek. So I was able to be going to the village in the creek to invite these youth leaders to Asaba to have a roundtable discussion for them to know that the government cares about them. That was what led to the peace we enjoyed, the later part of Ibori's regime.
And you led, after that, you became a member of the House of Assembly.
Yes, I became the member of Delta State House of Assembly. I was the majority whip of the House, and I also saw in it that representing the people is you being a trustee of dividend or democracy to the people. The people are the beneficiaries. For anything you see there, just see yourself as holding it in trust for them. And I can count for you, within the 4 years, I was able to establish 4 new secondary schools in my constituency. Renovation of a lot of them, because I was able to make myself part of that's the committee on appropriation. When you are in committee of appropriation in the House, you will not be aware of how the budget is being prepared. And when you are aware of how the budget is being prepared, you can always put one thing aside your constitutional project, whether it's going to be DESOPADEC, whether it's going to be the state budget. You'll be able to influence one thing or the other into it. So I was able to influence it, and I was there giving it out that this job should be done. I was asking for money for contractors to come and give me first for the job be done. And once you don't pressurize a contractor, the contractor will want to satisfy you by doing good job. That earned me the name of Awemutuwe.
I see him as a pragmatic person, not politician. He's a politician, but also as a person who I've seen his works speaks for him, and that's the reason why they call him Awemutuwe.
He brought peace and tranquility to Jesse. He restored the security circle of Jesse.
This man is a very good man, very, very good man. He has empowered us. We, the women from my region, he has empowered us. He don't help many of us here pay our children school fees. He don't help many of us here. Our children don't become somebody. He don't empower us. He don't give us a lot of good things we are not to remember.
Because of the advocacies of good governance and commitments, good commitments from our amiable man on the ground, Honorable Barrister John Nani, the Awemutuwe one of the Ijere Kingdom. We who live in the diaspora have reasons to come back home.
What are the bills you sponsored or the bills you supported?
Well, the novel one was I did the amendment of the DSEC bill, which is in place today now, because it was the bill as it were, the law as it were before, it was at travers the Constitution, because there's no way you can appoint more than 5 to 7 members. That's what the Constitution states, to be members of DSEC. But as it then, 9 persons were sent by the governor to be members, getting 3 from each of the central district. But when I saw that it was counter to the provision of the Constitution, I raised constitutional issues, constitutional objection to it, where I now amended the bill to what it is today. That is a novel bill that I passed, but others were in conjunction with other members as private member bills. But I know full well that is a novel one. Let me not go into the intricacies of those bills we passed in conjunction.
But would you say you performed well representing your people, giving them robust representation while you're in the House?
Well, I was voted the best legislator of the year 2012-2013. I didn't know when the voting took place. I was just called that I was the best legislator of the year. And I know full well no one will blow his trumpet again than when the 3 His Royal Majesties will come together and say, Awemutuwe, a child that brought something home. If the 3 kings within my constituency can recognize that I brought something home, then I don't expect any other person to say otherwise. I am not supposed to be blowing my trumpet, but I know full well that within the period I represented the people, I did well to representing them. I made them to know that they are the beneficiary of the defender of democracy, that I'm just a trustee whom they asked to go there and hold in trust for them to benefit.
First term of Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, you were made the Honorary Commissioner for Environment. At the point somebody called you Mr.
Swambugi.
Yeah, Mr. Swambugi. You know, tell us about your stay as a Commissioner for Environment.
Well, it's just that I had a background of timber. We're always going to go cut timbers in the swamp and those things. So when the flood came, I was up and doing, and we're always proactive when it comes to issue of flooding. So I know full well that swamp buggy can move on water, can move in a swamp. And I know that most of these canals were blocked by debris that have been thrown, waste that have been thrown into drains. So when covers and swamps go on this waterway, there's no way the water will flow. So I wrote a memo to the governor that once these canals can be opened for proper discharge of water, we could deflood water from hitherto flooded communities. I dug 22 kilometers of canal from Ishagu to Ase River. So you can imagine that long distance of a canal. It took just about 3 weeks to do it. But I can bet you today, hitherto, both the king and the people, they are always taken to IDP camps in Asaba when it's flooding time, rainy season. But I tell you now, instead of taking them to Asaba as IDP, this area that are supposed to be swampy before are now farmland. So I did a law like that. The Bible site at Ayara in Isoko. I went there. I did a lot of canals in the area, open it up, and the area where they do fishing, those are local ponds. So I went around. Apart from that, I think Delta State was the first state to have a policy and a plan on climate change. I delivered a paper in COP21 in Paris on climate change. So for all ministries in Delta State, they must key into the climate change policy as it were in Delta State. So it's the first state. And I know full well also that Delta State was well recognized when it comes to issue of adaptation of gas using means of making sure that forests are guided jealously. We planted about 12,000 exotic trees within the period I was Commissioner for Environment. Apart from that, we had a task force on forestry. There was heavy deforestation in that state, but because of the task force we put in place, we were able to minimize deforestation. Apart from we going to plant exotic trees to eat, also educating the people to make sure that they know that they need to guide these trees jealously, because without trees, without greens, the man cannot live.
You've been a special advisor, board member. You've also been the House of Assembly. You've also been a commissioner. Going through those threats, is this some way you think you have fixed properly?
Well, of course, as a lawyer, I think when I was in the House of Assembly, I would have done better for the state, because the more you stay in the House of Assembly, the more robust your astuteness in making law will be. But the situation where you go for once and you were asked to believe, because it became a custom in my constituency, where you go once and that's all. But it has been changed now, because the person who took over from me, Honorable Riatake Ibori Swenu, she's doing the second tenure now. So that has changed. I would have expected that, yes, people are allowed to stay in the legislature so that they can have the prowess of making laws, and also grow in the legislature to have good principal officers like the Speaker of the House and others.
You scored some good points in the administration of this state. Today you are made the executive director of one of the directors of Deltascope. What is there for our people?
The Deltascope today is for the oil. That commission is for oil producing bearing communities. How will you touch the lives of the oil bearing communities, because they suffer most the degradation that comes out from the exploration and exploitation of oil within the community. Like when I was inaugurated, first thing I said was that, yes, again, the governor has given me a task. The task is for me to be a conduit between government and the people, the oil-bearing community, those who own the money, the 13% derivation that has been given to the state. Because you will not benefit from it if you are not from the oil-bearing community. And I put it in my mind, I am going there to apply that benefit which we accrue to them, that through the SOPADEC to the people, so that they have the feeling that yes, this oil is our own. We are gaining it. It's only when they don't see, they don't feel the sense of belonging that you have agitation. And it is my promise to God to help me to see to it that my contribution in the SOPADEC will be that which will benefit the people.
We are in the second lap of the Okowa regime, the smart regime of Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. And now we are aiming for stronger Delta. What do you think can make us a stronger Delta? I mean, what are the things that we put in place to have a stronger Delta?
Well, when once build the foundation, he needs to consolidate on the foundation which he has built. So Smart Delta was building a foundation. Now he's consolidating on the foundation which he has built. And I know full well Paul has scored him well that yes, he built a rocky foundation that will not be shaken. And I know full well building upon it will be a stronger Delta which he has up for now. And we who are working under him to get the actualization of his dream of giving debtors is a better and stronger debtor economically, socially, harmoniously, bonding the people together to become one, having that love that yes, we are from Delta State. It is a task to we who have gotten the appointment, and I know full well that the governor will succeed because he always lay his fountain of governance from Christ. And if you believe in Christ, there's no way you will stumble. And I know also that as long as I'm working with him, I believe that I am working with a man with a solid rock on Christ.
And you will not fumble again?
I will not fumble again.
One word, describe Okowa.
Okowa is an astute politician with governance acumen.
A great time out there with Honorable Barrister John Nani, having shared with us what exactly he's been doing with the different political positions he has held in the Delta State government. Now, as a member who represented the people of Ethiop West constituency, he told us exactly what he did for his people. Now, he's an executive director on the board of the Delta State Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPADEC. So much more he has to offer to Delta State towards making it a greater and stronger Delta State. So, why not join His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, in developing Delta State and making Delta State stronger? It is on this note we'll wrap up this week's edition of Deltascope on television. For your comments, observations, and contributions, please use our various social media platforms as displayed on your screen. We'll be wrapping it up here this week on Deltascope. We do hope you join us again next week. On behalf of the producer and the production team, I am Onome Iyarowe. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.